All right, we're up to the final video for this week. This one is creating a new page and moving it over to the web server. What I've got here for you on the screen is a few different tasks, a three-step process, and the tools that we need with them as well. So step one, we're going to create or edit a web page, and then make sure you save the changes using tools such as Notepad or Notepad+. I do not suggest using something along the lines of Visual Studio, Dreamweaver, or some other really heavy tool that does all the code for you. I prefer that you actually code from scratch. And then once we have that, step two is to move the file over to the correct space on the web server using WinSCP, which you've been learning to use this week. The last step is to finally open up a web browser and to look at your page actually live on the server. To do that, you can use Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, any other kind of web browser you've got that can handle your page. So what I want you to do is, before we get started with this part, go ahead and pause this recording, and I want you to open up either Notepad or Notepad+, whichever you choose, WinSCP, and go ahead and log in and get everything ready for that, and then finally choose your browser. All right, so hopefully you paused and you got started back with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few different steps here and give you some options. First of all, our tools. Here is Notepad. And what I did was put Notepad+ over here on this side of the screen so we can talk about some differences there. I do have WinSCP open, and what I've got is the directory where all of my stuff is going to be stored for this quarter on my local machine. And then over here on this side, I actually have the Notepad+, the remote session on the server. So I can see that I'm at var www a student. And I can see I've got files and folders out here as well. All right. The last thing is, I chose to use Firefox, and I went ahead and opened that up to the page that I'm going to be looking at, which is my index page. Now right now, you'll notice, this is the one I used last quarter when I taught this class live on campus. And in just a few moments, we're going to end up erasing all of this and starting over. So I'm about to wipe this out completely. Now the file I suggest you start using for this every time is this one called template. Now if you do not have a copy of template in your directory, come steal mine. And I mean that. Right now you're probably in var www and then your name. If you go up a level, you can see all the other students' work all the way through the entire directories, everything that's out there. So that means you can see a student here. This is my demo account. You're welcome to take whatever you would like from it. So I'm going to double click in there, and what I'm going to do is from the server drag this over to my workspace and just copy it over directly. Now whenever I copy it back over, we just need to make sure we don't copy over template again or we overwrite it. So first thing we'll do is open this file up and change its name. I'll start with Notepad first. This is the one that you can find in Windows under Start, Accessories, and then Notepad. It is built into the Windows operating system. So if I want to open this one up, I would go to File, Open. I would go to my directory where all of my stuff is stored, and right now it's not showing me because it's looking for .txt files. I want to go to All Files, and down below here is Template. I'll click Open, and there's the file I would want. Now, before I start working, don't even change anything here. What I would do is go to File, Save As, and immediately call this index or whatever it is you're trying to work on right now, and make sure that you change it back to all files so that you'll call it index.htm or .html. Saved as all files. If you save it as text, more than likely it will create an index.htm.txt because that's what you told it to do. So that's how you would get started in Notepad, and it's pretty simple. You do not have line numbers. It is not color-coded, and because of that, I'm going to close this, and I'm actually going to go ahead and use Notepad+. So I'll click Open as well. Same directory. I want to go down here and pick up Template, open it, and again, right away you can tell, for those of you that have been using Notepad+, there's some definite benefits. The color coding is nice, the line numbers are nice, everything about it's pretty simple. It does not do code correction, it does not do spell checking, because it's not built to do that. So that's what this is for. It's just the basic stuff. What I want to do to get started here is, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and hit File, Save As, and I want to change the name before I start doing anything. And I'm going to actually do my index file first. I'm not going to be changing a lot of other things, but I want to change my index file so I can start updating my page and make it look like something I created instead of something that I did last quarter or borrowed from somewhere else. I've already got one out there, so I am going to replace it. And so now it's called index.html. What I want to do here is just make some minor changes. First of all, I'll put my name in the title since it is my page now. And then just something real simple here. Actually, something along those lines. I'm going to leave this down here, and again, remember all the validator stuff, the doc type, the namespace, here's my meta tag, and here's the button. I'm not going to change that. So I've got all my changes in that I want. I will save it, go over to WinSCP, and now that I have a new file with new time and date here, I will drag that over, copy it to my remote directory. Yes, then I do want to change it. You can also just click yes and say yes to all. And then step 3, I want to view it on the server. So I'll go to my directory. Since it's the index page, it should be the one that shows up by default. It's not yet because I was already on this, so I need to refresh. And we have a problem here. Something is not picking up my new page. So, and this is a common problem. Sometimes things just do not get moved around the right way. So go all the way back and let's look. Here's my change. If I go to a file, save as, it's in the right directory, has the right name, has the right type. I'm going to go ahead and save it, make sure it really saves changes, and if this icon changes from red to blue, it's there. Changes have been made. Go back to WinSCP, and I'm going to refresh this directory and this one as well. Now here's the problem. I drug over template. I just recalled this thing, index, renamed it. So I need to drag over my index file, drag it and drop it here, copy it. Now go to my browser and again refresh. And there we go, there's my changes. Now I suggest as you're doing this and you're building pages from scratch that you do this in several iterations. Throughout the book there are sections where it says now view your page. That's when you need to save it, move it, open it in a browser, and then after you're sure that that's exactly what you want and you validate it, then you go and you do the next few changes and do this in small phases instead. So I know that this is what I like so far. I'll check it. It is valid. So now I would go back and start adding my other changes. So that's how you're actually going to create a page and move it over to the server. You'll do this with each assignment, and of course the assignments will start getting larger with more pages. One last thing on WinSCP. To get all these directories over here, I grabbed everything from the top down. So I click the first over here on my remote, I click the first folder, hold down shift and click the last one, and I drug all of this over here to a blank directory to get started so I had the right folders. It's a nice tip on getting started for this quarter. Now if I needed to, for whatever reason, copy over this entire project, I could drag this folder down here and it would copy the whole project over. I'm not going to because it will erase everything, but I would do that instead of moving over to the project folder, because if I drag this folder to that folder, sorry, I've actually got permission problems here, but only one person can do that, so let me try another one. If I grab project 2 and drag it to my project 2 folder, now what I've got is a project 2 folder inside of it. Watch that. That's a very easy thing to mess up. If you don't want to do that, and let me delete that so I don't leave it. What I would do is, if I want to copy this entire project 2 folder over again, I would drag it from here to there and let it copy that way. Now I don't have the duplicate folder in there, and I can even refresh and show that it's not duplicate. Alright, so that's the end of this video and the end of this part of this week. You've got a lot of little files to make and a lot of updates to make to your web server this week and a lot to your web space, as well as learning about validation. So take your time to do that. Be sure to post to the Ask the Instructor board as you need to, and I look forward to seeing your work.